I, Dr. Yogesh Zuzare, Assistant Professor at Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapeeth, Center for Online Learning, welcomes all of you to this live webinar on business opportunities in Uzbekistan for young entrepreneurs by Honorable Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir, Advisor, Tashkent, Uzbekistan Entrepreneurship Development Center. In this difficult time of the pandemic, where all businesses are declining, this is the golden opportunity to grab the new business opportunity for youngsters in this era by attending this session. Under the leadership and guidance of visionary Honorable Dr. Smita Jadhav ma'am, Executive Director and Trustee Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapeeth Pune, and Honorable Dr. Safia Farooqui madam, Director Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapeeth, Center for Online Learning, today's webinar has been arranged. Now, I take this opportunity to invite and welcome Honorable Dr. Safia Farooqui madam to present the welcome address on this occasion. Ma'am, please.
Very good afternoon to all of you. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to Dr. D.Y. Patil University Center for Online Learning. I feel honored to welcome Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir for taking a session with us. And I'm sure that we all will feel enriched with knowledge after completion of this event. I welcome you all once again to the webinar and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. And I am really grateful that in a short notice, Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir has accepted our invitation and he is with us. Thank you, sir, for your presence.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable guidance and this welcome address on this occasion. Before we start this webinar, I take this opportunity to introduce briefly Honorable Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir. Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir is a graduate in economics. He is MBA in marketing and has also awarded with the PhD in economics. Dr. Chaturvedi sir has about 31 years of experience, out of which 18 years of industry and 13 years of academic experience he does have. In the industry, he has worked as the senior positions into the LAN ESDA Industries Limited, Engineering Export Promotion Council, also at the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industries. During his academic journey, he has served as an Associate Dean at IILM Business School, New Delhi, Professor at Amity University, Noida. Also, he was a Dean at the Symbiosis Group, Pune, and also has worked as a Chief Academic Officer at the Narsi Monji University, Mumbai. He was a visiting faculty at California State University, as well as he has worked as a senior faculty professor and chairperson at the EDII Ahmedabad. He has been selected by the EDII and will be, he has been working as an advisor at the Tashkent, Uzbekistan, at India-Uzbekistan Entrepreneurship Development Center. His area of interest is entrepreneurship and international business. So please welcome Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir with a huge round of applause to attend this session. Yes, so I invite sir and I welcome sir to deliver this session.
Namaskar and thank you first of all the university for inviting me, and especially Dr. Safia and Dr. Yogesh, because this is the only method we can be connected despite all difficulties in Pune or in India as such. We are fortunate that we are very safe in Uzbekistan because the cases are very less than 100 and less than 1 lakh all over the months which has passed since last year. But it is very painful to see our country in people dying because of lack of medical support. So my best wishes to all of you and your families and friends to be safe during this tough time. It will pass, but it will be difficult time to I would say to pass. But yes, we should all have courage. So today I am going to talk about Uzbekistan and what are the opportunities here. But I have divided my session briefly into 2-3 parts to make it more interactive with you. The first is that I will give you a brief idea about the Central Asia and Uzbekistan. Second, then I will speak about the opportunities and how one can look into it. And third, if you have any questions, if I can answer, that will be my pleasure. So Central Asia, when we talk about, is basically 5 countries which got separated from USSR or Russia as we know now. It was Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan. So 5 countries are making the Central Asia. EDII, before I came to Uzbekistan, I was working at Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India at Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and also looking after the PG program. It was the EDI has been given the responsibility to establish 10 centers across the globe, especially in developing countries. And so 4 have been established in Southeast Asia. This is the 5th in Tashkent. We have got another 5 in Africa. And this year, we are going to start the Rwanda in Kigali, the capital of Rwanda. So that will be the 6th, and 4 more to come very shortly in coming years. The purpose of India, Uzbekistan, or India, other countries' centers is to create entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs like you all, and also to help the existing entrepreneurs for better technology, connectivity, processes, quality control, etc. So that's the first role of any center like us. Second role is to inculcate entrepreneurship into education. You will be surprised to note that in India, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, where I was working, have created the syllabus of 11th and 12th of CBSE school board for entrepreneurship. So I think it will be shortly launched. This, because of COVID, it was delayed. So that course has been designed, and with the support of the faculty, and I've been a part of it. So it's a very, I would say, satisfaction to me to introduce entrepreneurship at 11th and 12th class in India, which I think is a must. Even if you go into a job, you have to think like an entrepreneur. And that is the crux of the entire entrepreneur. It's a mindset. It's nothing business only. It is basically only the mindset. So even in job, you have to bring business to the company, and you have to progress along with the company. So you have to think like a businessman, entrepreneur. So that is just to add on what EDII is doing. And so the education is second part. So we are also now trying to inculcate that entrepreneurship concept into Uzbekistan schools also. So in coming years, we will be a part of the education ministry here. And third is to, of course, increase the trade between the two countries, India and Uzbekistan, and vice versa. Uzbekistan, those who are from India, those who have read little bit of history, Babar came from Uzbekistan. So there is a city called Andijan, where Babar was born, and I had a chance to visit his birthplace. So Babar established the Mughal period, or Mughal era as we call it, in India. So that connectivity is there. And many great poets like Amir Khusro and Mirza Ghalib's parental country was Uzbekistan. And of course, you must have heard about the Chinese Silk Route. So the silk used to come from China to Europe through Uzbekistan. So Samarkand, Bukhara, Fargana, these were on the sides of the Silk Route. So we have been studying in schools, and it is a pleasant surprise for me, and I feel lucky that I could see these places which I've read during my school days and also in my graduation when I was a student of history. Recently, so what happened when USSR was dismantled in 1991, early 90s, you can say, these 5 countries were established and they became independent. And recently, about 4 or 5 years back, they started opening their economies. So Uzbekistan is a country of about having 3.5 crore people, roughly. So 335 million people. It's not a big country, but it is a it's a very clean city. You will be very astonished to see when you land in Tashkent that people, when they go to their offices, they put their garbage into their car. They come to a garbage box, take out the garbage from their car and put it, and then they go to the office. If the school students are going, they will put first the garbage into the box and then they go to school. So that culture they have developed over the years, and it's very, very interesting to see that how even the people inculcate this habit into the next generation, which are very small. And so they right from the age of 3 and 4, they start putting garbage into the, so the city is clean. And this is not only Tashkent but the entire Uzbekistan. So that will be the first thing which will strike you in Uzbekistan. Second, which will strike you, will be the role of women. Many women must be attending my session today. You will find that the entire business processes like shops, pharma, medical, banking, any retail shop, more or less you will find women controlling the entire processes. So it's another challenge to see and understand that how we have a different picture when we are in India as about Uzbekistan with long dresses and traditional dresses. But here you will find that they are driving the car, they are going to their offices, they are wearing the most modern fashionable dresses in and around Tashkent and also smaller cities also. So that will be the second impression you will get when you come to Uzbekistan. So they are very part of the business processes. Third, the thing which will strike you will be the way the people follow the rules when you are crossing the road, or you are on the red light, or you are driving, or somebody else is driving. They try to follow almost 99% of the traffic rules. 1 or 2 cases you will find that they break the rule, but that is not very common to see. So they follow the rules like any developed country. So that is the third striking familiarity which will strike you. The fourth thing which will be very interesting for you, that education is free till 12th for all students, and that is why there is literacy of 99% in this country. So almost everybody knows how to read, write, and of course speak Uzbek. Earlier they were focusing on Russian, but in the last 4 or 5 years they have started focusing on the English learning classes. So every road almost will have some sort of English classes for IELTS or for GMAT, GRE, or English communication classes. So all these are a symbol of that they are liking, they are interested in linking themselves to international businesses, international processes through English, and of course through GRE and GMAT, getting admissions outside the country. So that will be another thing which will strike you. And when you see the business processes, they are not as mature as India, because we were opened in 1991 with Dr. Manmohan Singh as the finance minister. But they are very fast learner, and they have a lot of respect towards Indian IT, Indian pharmacy, Indian medicine, Indian doctors. So, and of course, there is close proximity with India through the Indian movies. So any medicine you or medical treatment they want, like surgery, they will like to go to India. So, and that is about Central Asia, entire Central Asia. So they have a lot of respect for doctors and practitioners in India. Most of the medicines you will find in here in retail shops, pharmacies, are made in India. And of course, there are some Russian and of course some Turkish and Chinese also. But all good medicines are from India. So that is a great respect which they have. Uh, Regarding Indian movies, they have, you can even see now when we open our cable, that a lot of Indian movies are still dubbed into Uzbek, and they know Raj Kapoor, they know Amitabh Bachchan, they know Mithun Chakravarti, they know Shah Rukh Khan, they know Amir Khan. So, and they like to see these serials also. So their serials, our serials, and their movies and our movies are quite similar to each other. So this is the first impression and first month you will get, that how they are very closely bonded. There is a close bond between India and Uzbekistan, both historically as well as the present scenario also, and of course through other channels like movies. Now, I would like to focus on the opportunities, because there, although they are a part of business process, but you will see less entrepreneurs in women. So what it indicates is that usually after education, they go for certain small businesses, like they take some small jobs in some retail shops or parlors or etc. And then they get married, and of course then they have their family life. But now with the new internet and all the information coming from different parts of world, women have started their own in the last 3-4 years, or maybe 5 years, and they want that they should start their own business, and here lies the opportunities. Similar is with the boys also. The boys are also now very well aware about uh, the opportunities abroad, and they want certain support from the government to start their own venture. So now the first question which arises is that what are the areas of opportunities? So if you see that pharma is one where they have already long established relations, and but now there is small shift from medicine to medicinal plants, Ayurveda, or even homeopathy is becoming very popular here. So this can be the first opportunities. Natural products which can be of skin care, or it can be shampoos, or it can be soaps. So that can be the one, because now they are shifting from chemicals to natural products, and of course the Ayurvedic, where we have a long traditional ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, where you can see like companies like Dabur, Patanjali, Baidyanath, which is already doing since more than 50 years or so. The Dabur and Baidyanath are long established companies. So these are two opportunities. So Ayurvedic, and second is the natural products for women, for skin care and etc., and even cosmetics. Another areas of opportunities can be in the fashion industry. Usually what we have understood in the, and during my interaction with the Chamber of Commerce and Industries, there has been an influence of I would say Turkish fashion industry here. So anything which is Turkish is more expensive than local. And just one important thing to add here, that textile is, the cotton is one of the best in the world, and they export about 10% of the total cotton exports of the world. So the textile industry is one area which can also be a part of the fashion industry. And I am interesting to share with you that the parents encourages the young girls and boys to be well dressed, good looking, even in the graduation level or school level. So that means that they spend a lot of money on their children to become more attractive, more beautiful, and more handsome, even while they are going to school or graduation. After the marriages, it is up to them how the two of them keep each other. But till they are married, I think that is one of the responsibility of the parents. So it gives a lot of big market for cosmetics and all those natural products which I have spoken about, both for men and women. Uh, Interesting to see here that a lot of big brands are not still available here, because economy is slowly opening. As far as fast food is concerned, you will find only KFC here. There is no McDonald's here or Subway here. So that is another opportunity, that you get a license and then you can start a small Subway sort of thing. Maybe Subway will like to come on its own, but you can start similar. There are few food habits which are very similar to India, which can also be an opportunity for opening an Indian restaurant here. Like pulao is a traditional meal which we also take in India, which is like a biryani. And samsa, here they call it samsa, it is samosa in India. And of course, they eat a lot of meat, which we don't eat. Even the non-vegetarian don't eat so much of meat. So the morning, afternoon, and evening, they all take 3 meals of meat also. So there is a lot of consumption of meat and rice and vegetables. For vegetarian, it's a difficult region, but yes, you can survive. So another opportunity which you can think is to start a restaurant here, and you will find in very stylish restaurants like any European country, in Tashkent and even in smaller towns, and they are very neat and clean, as I already mentioned. So that can be one more opportunity to start an Indian restaurant or an Italian restaurant, or maybe just a vegetarian restaurant, because now since the rosas are also going, some people try to avoid meat during these rosa time. And there are a lot of South Korean companies which have established in India, in Uzbekistan, and many of them follow Buddhism. So they also try to have a vegetarian food. So then vegetarian food can also be a great opportunity for any young entrepreneur. And of course, Indians have been here for last 20-25 years. I've met some of the Indians family who are in businesses. They are doing very good, and this is their third generation which is now studying in graduation or PG now. So Indians are also in great numbers. So some sort of food joints, and very interesting to note here, like in India, when we go to the office, we carry our own food from home. Here, that is not the concept. Unless until you have medical problem, you don't bring food from your home. Usually, lunch hour is 1 hour, so you go outside and eat something, or take a coffee or sandwich, or maybe small snacks. So eating outside is a habit by I would say default. And in on weekends also, all restaurants are full almost, despite we don't have COVID here, so I have not seen in anything which is hampering them to eat outside. So that is very important. So that some sort of eatables joints can be one more opportunities, and they like to have a lot of spices and oil in their food like we have in India. So that's also interesting thing to note. And then another opportunity which I can foresee is the printing and packaging. Here, what we have seen is that we get in Uzbekistan a lot of packaged food, because the processing is not so of high quality in Uzbekistan. Usually, you will find milk which is produced or processed in Uzbekistan by Uzbekistan dairies, but their processing is done by some European machines. Those are expensive machines. So the cost of the milk also increases. So like in Tetra packs or tins. So packaging is one more important area where one can put a small plant and you can start catering to the people who wants the packaging of a product. It can be Tetra pack, it can be tin, it can be boxes also. Printing is also a great, I would say, opportunity here, because every week you will find that the hoardings change and some new hoarding comes. So there is a lot of advertisements in various forms, not in the pamphlet forms. I have not seen much pamphlets, but a lot of big hoardings, lot of printing on the packaging and printing on the various materials which we are using in stationaries, have excellent printing job done. And these are also done on German machine or maybe Italian machines. So that is another opportunity where you can give these machineries or put this machinery or processing in Uzbekistan at a lower cost, because Indian machines are far cheaper, but they are quite good to if we compare quality wise. Then third, another important area which I would like to focus here for the students and for the young entrepreneurs is the agri processes. See, here in Uzbekistan, it's very cold from almost November end to February or March beginning. So 4 months there is no vegetables, no grains, no fruits available, because it's snowing. It's -20 in Tashkent. I've gone through -22 this past winter. So it's very cold. So you don't grow anything these 3-4 months. And you have cows, you have goats, you also have some animals at your home. And of course, they are human beings. They all need food to be catered for these 3-4 months. So they need cold storage. They need logistics for transportation of vegetables and fruits from the agriculture farms to the processing, and of course to cold storage. So these are some areas where you can immediately get business, because it's already available. You will be surprised to note that in some of the dairy, I was doing a project on Amul dairy products here, and I visited a lot of dairies here in Uzbekistan. Some dairies are so big that I don't think even in India we have that. Some of the farmers were having more than 30,000 cows, and half of them were imported from Europe. So 50% European cows and 50% in Uzbek cows, and they were processing milk and just giving to say Nestle factory for making chocolates and dairy products. So and because they had this problem of they can't had the processing done on their own, so they have to sell it to somebody, because milk is a perishable item. So these are some areas where you can immediately get business, and they are ready to invest or partner with you. So that's another important to understand. Then another area which can be of great interest to the young entrepreneurs can be in the IT field. Here you will find that they are now switching from 3G to 5G without going into 4G. So right now we have 3G, but I think maybe by the end of this year, they will go into 5G, like in India also. So now they are looking for anything which is app based. So people now making of app is getting a lot of orders here. I have met 1 or 2 young entrepreneurs, Uzbek students. They were in the second year of MBA, and they are getting lot of orders for creating of app of different products. And it's a good, I would say, money here. So those students who are good in app making, or they can have a knack of that, I think Uzbekistan is a very good market to start with. Like they have My Taxi app here. like Uber and Ola in India. So that My Taxi app was done by a 24-year-old student, engineering student. So that type of applications are now becoming very popular in Uzbekistan. So anything IT and IT related services. Another thing which I have noticed is that the service sector of FMCG products like washing machine, maybe even IT products like laptops or palm tops or mobiles or fridges. There is no service support systems here. I've seen only HP service centers here and no other company service centers here in the entire Uzbekistan. So anybody who is in this service sector of FMCG products or IT products uh, can have a like a roaring business within a year or so, because people are having some problems, so they have to wait for 2-3 days to the mechanic to come. And almost all big companies are here, right from Bosch, LG, Americans, Germans, South Korean products are available here. So, but the support system is not there. So anybody who is interested in IT support and of course FMCG support services will have a big business here. And so that is another opportunities I can say. Another one or two important areas are the processing, agri-processing. As I said, that they have vegetables, very fresh vegetable, very good quality vegetables, but processing is not there. So value addition to these products are not there. So what they do, if they have the best qualities of tomatoes, I have never tasted so good quality tomatoes in last 10 years what I've tasted here, but they have to throw it away because if it is not sold in the market, then there is a problem. So anybody who can make tomato sauces or tomato puree or tomato chutney, as we call it in India, it can be a great. There are big companies here who have put up a plant for tomato related products, but there are other opportunities for other vegetables also, and of course storing them in the right packaging. So processing of agri products, especially which are perishable, is also a big opportunity for anyone. The challenge here is two. So these are the opportunities, but what you have to prepare if you want to start a business. First, you must have a good business plan. Now, business plan, just 2-3 things I like to add. In EDII, also in India, we used to have this business plan for every student. So it was mandatory because EDII was the first institute in India which was started only for entrepreneurship. So that is why it was called Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India in 1980s something, 84, 83, 84. So we used to teach business plan, and I think here also the business plan is a very important thing when you go to any bank or private investor or any company for joint venture, that how you can scale your product from just a city-based product to say Central Asian market product, which means that you have to look, because 3.5 crore people is not a very big market, because everybody is not going to buy your product. So you have to take Central Asia as a whole, and you can easily sell across the border. So that's not an issue also, because they work in like a European Union. So they are trying to build a common currency also like euro, but it will take some time. And but however, you can sell very easily in other neighboring countries also. So you have to see and analyze in your business plan that entire Central Asia is your market, not just Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan you can put as your office, or maybe your starting point, or maybe you're taking the plunge into the Central Asian market. But unless until you have a product which you can sell in other countries also, that will be a restriction after some time. You will be very successful in 3-4 years, but after then the saturation will come. So that is the first thing, that you have to see Central Asian market as such. And they have the similar problems also. Whatever I have spoken about Uzbekistan, more or less similar is the condition in another 4 Central Asian countries. And it also helps you, because if you are able to sell your product in 5 countries, you minimize your risk also. So you maximize your profits also, and you minimize the risk also. See, if something goes bad in the one market, another 4 is available with you. So that is very important. Then second thing in business plan, which when I spoke to some bankers and private investors, that they want to know how you are different from the products which are being imported here. Everything is being imported here from China, from Turkey, from USSR or Russia as we call it, or from Europe, or any other neighboring countries also they are exporting to Uzbekistan. So how you will be different apart from the prices? Of course, your price may be little cheaper when it comes to importing, but how you will be different and how you will sell your product, that will be very important to tell your bankers or private investors. And lastly, they will like to see a projection of sales and profit in next 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years or beyond. So they do not want that they should spend money on a joint venture between India and Uzbekistan company, and then after 3 years nothing happens, or before 3 years it also becomes loss making. So they want to analyze that how long this venture can survive, and they will be interested if you can give some insight into how you will come to stage 1, 2, and 3 and beyond. I think that then they will be interested in funding you. Lastly, I would also like to emphasize in just 1 or 2 points more, is that there is competition. So it's not like a raw country where there is no competition. Competition is already there, but it is mostly from imported goods. So if you produce something here, it will be very good, and you have to put not much money, because here everything is quite cheap. If you go to a restaurant, you will find good cheap products, food. If you buy a textile, good cotton textile, it is very cheap if you even compare with India. So pricing is very, very competitive here. And the reason for that is the salaries are not very high. So everybody is having some sort of side business to become more richer and more, I would say, sustainable in the society. So that is another input which I like to share, that salaries are not as high as we have in India also. And slowly they are going into the upper strata of the European standard. So right now, if you have an engineer, you will get an engineer in $500 per month, so which comes to around 30,000, which is almost similar from any good institute in India. So the salary part is also equivalent to India, or sometime even lesser. Third, which is another, I will not say third, but one of the 3 factors which I would like is the education. Education, even I would request Dr. Safia and Dr. Yogesh that if they want to open a center here, or a university campus or office here, this is the right time, because many students are going to India for different types of I would say training programs, courses, PG programs, UG programs. And because going to Europe is much, much expensive, and India, as I said, they feel more closer to India. And that's another opportunity. Already 2 big universities from India has started their operation about a year or 2 back, like Sharda University and MIT University, and 1 or 2 are in the pipeline. Because of COVID, they have to postpone. So maybe next year. So DY Patil can also think of having an overseas office or overseas campus. And here the government gives any education university very lot of benefits, I would say. They give you an entire building free of cost to start your center or university. And there is tax benefit also. Of course, there is certain limitation how much the tax benefits can be given. You have to pump in again for say 3 years or 5 years. So those sort of incentives are especially given to Indian university, because most of the people who are in post-Russia era went to India for some type of education or traveled. So they know, and of course, IT and doctors and pharmacy, and especially the COVID vaccine, which is now being made in India, have again given lot of attraction for the knowledge and the education we have. So maybe DY Patil can also think about it. So lastly, I will like to conclude and then open for discussion and question answers, that whenever you are thinking of business in Uzbekistan or outside Uzbekistan, you have to see that business survive for at least 3 to 10 years. That should be the margin where you have to place your product or service. Second, you have to think about that how I will be different from whatever existing competitors are there, which is very important, that why anybody should buy your product. I can say that my pen is the best in the world, but let the consumer think about it. And third, very importantly, it has to be a win-win situation. Many good Indian companies who are established from the last 20-30 years here in Uzbekistan, they always have this win-win situation with their partner company in Uzbekistan. So it's a joint venture. So it can be also good to see that not only Indian, but also the Uzbek partner gets the similar benefits and profits. One thing I missed during my opportunities is the automobile. You will be shocked to know that only Chevrolet you will find here. 99% of the market is by Chevrolet. It was earlier Daewoo, but when Daewoo closed, Chevrolet took over the unit, and now you will find 99% of the cars in Uzbekistan are made in Chevrolet. So Spark, which is now being discontinued in India, you will find it here. Marti's, which was a Daewoo product, you will find here. So small taxis are Daewoo's, Marti's and Spark, and big car, other Chevrolet cars. So the related opportunity to automobiles is the services, right from washing to service centers, tires, mechanics. So that is one more opportunities, and you will find cars going into a smaller towns or even villages. So they have a very good infrastructure. Yes, this one thing which I missed in introduction is that when they were under USSR, the Russian concept was to make good roads and give power supply. So that was the two important thing. So even if you go to a small village, you will find that there is a motorable good road, and light is even in the smallest farmer's house. So that is an opportunity, that you don't have to look for electricity or road to cater anything. So you can easily move around in Uzbekistan, even in the smaller towns or even in a village. So automobiles are there all over Uzbekistan and adjoining countries also. And so that is again a great opportunity for any person who's looking for entrepreneurship or a small venture in Uzbekistan. So I like to stop here, and if anybody has question, they can ask.
So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge with us. There are certain questions that we'll be going to take in this session. There is one interesting question that, sir, you had spoken about textile and fashion as an opportunity, but also mentioned that Uzbek is rich in cotton and Turkey, which dominates for fashion. Is there an opportunity for small India entrepreneurs from India in the form of supplies more for uniforms more than fashion? Is there some sort of information book through which we can get in touch with the industry and education sectors into the requiring the same into those biggest? Yes.
Yeah, in fact, there is some challenges here also, that the data is not compiled in one place like we have in India. Today morning, somebody was asking about a pharma company in Pune. Very interesting that you are also from Pune. So I just went to Pharmexil, Pharma Export Promotion Council website, and its name was there as a member. So that sort of data plus, I think 22,000. The chamber has that members, and we are compiling a data for this. And but yes, if we talk especially about textile and fashion industry, there is no association like we have a lot of associations in India. But yes, one has to come and see and speak to some of the big retailers here, even people who are producing those fashionable clothes to these outlets. There is a lot of malls. I think if you come here, you will forget about Indian malls or shops. They are very lavish, because the land is available here, and of course during the Russian time they had a lot of good brands available here. So all international brands are here in fashion industry also. But yes, the style is still the Turkish style, and they wear jeans, they wear skirts, they wear dresses, they wear gowns, they wear this wedding. I attended one of the Uzbek wedding also. So my friend was married, and what lavishness you find in India in a big fat wedding in India, you can find here also, despite the COVID restrictions. So, but as far as the associations are concerned, there is lack of compiled data. So, but I can help individually if somebody writes to me.
Yes, thank you, sir. There is another question, that what are the support measures which are provided by Uzbek government for the investment in Uzbekistan?
Yeah, interesting question, because everybody thinks that if I am putting 5 rupees, or who will put in the next 5 rupees or 10 rupees. So here there are 2-3 policies. There is an investment, I would say, ministry, you can say. They call it with different name. Another important thing, there are 4,000 Indian words which are used in Uzbek also. So like Kadam, Dawat, Kitab, Zarurat, these are some Indian words which they normally use also here. So this industry industry ministry looks into your proposal and look into what type of investment you are looking into. So they will let you know that how much their government will support to you. It depends on case to case basis. It's not like a scheme in India where we have different schemes for MSMEs. Here it goes to case basis, because they say that sometime it's a small project, so we give more to the small entrepreneurs. If it's a big company, they don't need financial support, they need some other supports also, like licensing, approvals, etc. So this investment ministry can help you into looking into your business plan and what requirement you have financially or otherwise also. So that can be starting point.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. There is another question that is there any scope to supply raw agriculture food like onion, wheat, corn to Uzbekistan and how it's measured? What is the food supply chain? How we can develop a supply chain into the Uzbekistan from other countries?
Okay, so if you see the geographical location of Uzbekistan, it is one country which is double landlocked, which means that not only the nearest border is Afghanistan, but Afghanistan, then Pakistan, then comes India. So similarly, it is landlocked, double landlocked country in all the four directions. So the transportation from land is very expensive. So that is one. But Indian government is making a small change in the port. Now, earlier it was coming through a Pakistan port. Now they have developed a small, I will not say small, but another port in Iran. So the transportation will first come from India to Iran port, and from Iran it will come through land to Uzbekistan. Airways is always expensive. Air cargo is very frequent, but it is expensive if you have bulk items. So that is another problem. So I would suggest that if you are giving agriculture products, you have to see what agriculture products are allowed to be imported into this country. Like recently, just about a month back, they have allowed the imports of mangoes and watermelon. So anybody can now export from India because India has a good variety of mangoes. So, but then you have to see whether, because mangoes is also a perishable item and watermelons also. So you have to send it through air cargo, which is expensive. But if you are thinking of wheat, sugar, or big items which are in huge quantity, it can be sent only through containers, and containers will be coming through Iran port to Uzbekistan through through land. So you have to calculate whether your products will be marketable or attractive price wise also.
There is another question that can you tell a little bit more about the challenges for foreign investors which could face like a language barrier, work business visa, PR-ship, tax insurance, and company registration. So what are the challenges in doing all these processes?
Yeah, see, first thing you will find when you open a company here, you will find good lawyers here who are corporate lawyers, what would they call them, who can make all the registration and approvals for you at a cost, I would say. But the challenge is language first, because people are very conversant with like when in India we speak either Hindi or English. Here they speak Uzbek, or educated people speak Russian. So English is not so popular except in cities. So if you are in city, you will not find much problem because you have one or two English people and then they can control the other workers. But language is one problem. Now third comes the tax benefits. Tax benefit, because I am interacting with some of the industry here, tax benefit is here for 5 years, but there is a challenge that you cannot take profits out of Uzbekistan to India for 5 years. You can reinvest into the same company. So after 5 years, you can take it. And it is logical also, because what will happen that I open a company here, take out money and put it into some other venture outside Uzbekistan. So they want that the maturity of the industry should also be there. And it happened in India also for many years together. I think more than 30 years we had this process that you can earn profit, but you cannot take it outside India. So the same, they have also realized that to make the industry mature, you have to reinvest the money in the same or any other venture in Uzbekistan, but you can't take it outside. And then after 5 years, you can take anything. There is If I remember correctly, there is 22% of tax maximum, which is available in the industry. After that, you can take anything outside.
Thank you. So the next question is that what about the business registration process and how user friendly are their law in terms of registration of business and licensing, especially for the foreign investors? Especially is asking about licensing.
Yeah. See, if you understand or you have understood the license Raj in India before 91, it is more, I would not say the same, but it's almost the same, because here they are still opening their economy, so they are also very worried about that nothing goes wrong. Also, they are good in intention, and they don't harass anybody here that you pay me money, then only I will give you the license. No, that's not the process here. They are very honest, very I would say uh, supporting to industry. But only thing is that they are very cautious at this moment, because they know that this is a very delicate time for the entire Uzbek economy, and especially with COVID, the economy is also not doing good. So everything is centralized in the ministries. So anything which you want, you have to go to the ministry. It will take certain time also. I think if you want to start something next year, you should start now for all the approvals. So that, because the process is smooth but slow, I would say, and they have their own issues to cater to that. Second, there is no corruption here. That's very important to understand, that nobody will ask you money. Even if you go to a restaurant, it is not expected that you put a tip. You just go on the counter and give the money, what is the actual bill. So that way they are very honest, they are very straightforward. Only the process are slower. And if you think about getting registration and everything, you can find it through our chamber. I will share the chamber website. Everything is there in English and Russian and Uzbek. So you can put a question to different departments, and they have regional offices, 6 regional offices, and we have 6 regional offices in Uzbekistan. And any region, if you want, the concerned regional department will help you also. And they are very well connected also in the government and also in the Uzbek people. But the processes are slow, so one has to be mentally prepared for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Then the other question is that does government offer any tax credit for new businesses? How is the tax condition in Uzbekistan? Means he's asking that what are the tax benefits? Does they are giving more benefits to the foreign investors?
No, I would say they don't give tax benefit as a financial support. But as I said, like if you want to start a factory, they will give you almost entire land free of cost with just a token money of say €100, $100. They will give you, they will put electricity and everything free of cost initially. With no charges with you. The time you start your electricity, it will be metered. And here, electricity is very, very cheap. My whole house electricity comes just $20, which means 1,600, 1,700. And we run ACs also. So electricity is almost throwaway. Petrol here is around 45 rupees per liter, half of India. So this way they support. But they don't give you any financial tax exemption for at least the first 5 years, because they say we support you to put up your industry. Whatever slab is there, it is for everybody. Like in India, if you have individual income tax slab, it is same here in Uzbekistan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll take another one question only. That is, sir, you have, sir, since you have told that it happened to mention that the country is still in 3G and turning to the 5G only into the pipeline right now, can we expect a digital space boom there? And also, what are the opportunities for a digital marketing company there? As you mentioned that there are a lot of small to medium businesses, they are there who might want to get onto the online?
Okay. Yes. In fact, we started getting messages from our service provider that 5G will be launched soon. So I think by end of this year, we will have 5G available on the mobiles. Once the 5G comes, the speed and data downloading will become a big boost in here. So there can be 2-3 opportunities for digital people who are interested in digital economy. One will be the app, as I said, everybody will like to have of app of his product. Second will be the banking. Third will be the services like taxi and food deliveries. Like we don't have food deliveries like Zomato, etc. here. So of course, if there is a very popular, it's called Fish and Bread, which you will be surprised to note that they have their own app and also their own digital platforms for making orders, and they have their own cars. You will not find the scooters to deliver a product. You will find people coming driving in a small Martis or Spark and giving you food. So that's another challenge that you will find here, because the petrol is so cheap, so you don't go for a, and you can store a lot of I would say cartons of fish and bread into one car. So this digital, and lastly, very importantly, anything, everybody wants to have a website and app in this country. Even a small shop, you will like that they will, when the 5G come, they will like to have a website, and of course deliveries and supply chain management will be another boost once the 5G comes, because if you have an app and there is an order, you have to get it delivered within the fastest time which is available. So I think these will be some big boom which we are seeing in India from the last 10 years will now start in India, in Uzbekistan, and anybody who's interested, this is the right time to come into Uzbekistan. And if you want some specific inquiry or on investment, or you need Indian Uzbek partners, good partners, I can support you, I can help you, and we can be very happy to help any of the young entrepreneurs.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much, sir. So we are running out of time, and yes, there are a lot of questions, but we have taken only few important questions that have been asked by the participant. So it was really a great time that we have spent at here, and as well as now this is the time to present the vote of thanks at the end of this session. I'm really thankful to the Honorable Dr. Safia Farooqui Madam, Director, Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapeeth Center for Online Learning, who has taken an initiative to arrange this webinar. And because of her only, this webinar has been made possible. So I'm really thankful to Dr. Safia Farooqui Madam. I'm also thankful to our visionary leader of the organization, Dr. Smita Jadhav Ma'am, Executive Director and Trustee of Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapeeth Center for Online Learning, who is always taking an initiative to develop the new skills within the learners. And she is the only one leader who is a progressive leader and visualize what exactly should be the opportunities that should be given to the learners for their self-development. So I'm really thankful to the Dr. Smita Jadhav ma'am, and I'm really thankful to Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi sir, who has spent his valuable time with us from Uzbekistan. And I'm really thankful to you, sir, that you have explained right from the health sector to fashion, textile industries, as well as even you have beautifully mentioned what exactly is the lifestyle of the Uzbekistan in a shorter period of time. I think you have visited not more than 5 to 6 months or 6 months or 8 months.
6 months.
Yeah. 6 months, yes. And in this shorter period, you have actually analyzed the situation of Uzbekistan, and critically you have mentioned what exactly are the opportunities within a shorter period to our young entrepreneurs who want to start their business into Uzbekistan. So I'm really thankful to you, sir. And even at the time of, I would like you to share the memory of the alumni meet also, that at that time also we have, yes, we have really got the great knowledge from the field of economics from you, and all the learners, even they had enjoyed that session. And today also, each and everyone wants to ask more and more questions, but because of the less time, we cannot take all the questions. But yes, sir, it was really a nice session. And even I have understood many of the business opportunities that has to be created into the field of education also. So that you have told just now. So yes, definitely the Dr. D.Y. Patil Vidyapith will take an initiative to start new ventures over there. And definitely we have got great opportunities for education industries also. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable time. And I'm really thankful to all the participants also on this occasion. So thank you so much, sir. So at this moment, thank you so much, sir. So at this moment, I declare that this particular session has been successfully completed.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.